The wedding invitation felt like a loaded gun in my hands. I read it 3 times, wondering if jet lag was making me hallucinate. But no, there it was in elegant silver script. Blair and Ethan invite you to celebrate their marriage. My name is Kylie, and I just flew 14 hours from Singapore to surprise my fiancé. Instead, he surprised me. I stood in his kitchen, still wearing my wrinkled work clothes, my carry-on abandoned by the door where I'd dropped it. The house key he'd given me 6 months ago when he proposed had worked perfectly. Everything looked the same, his coffee mug in the sink, that ugly modern art piece his mother bought him, my favorite blanket still draped over his couch. But that invitation changed everything. A yellow post-it note stuck to the back read, "I knew you'd find out eventually. E." My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Yesenia. "Are you back? Call me ASAP." I called her while sinking into Ethan's kitchen chair, the one where I used to eat breakfast with him every Sunday. "Oh, God, you don't know yet," Yesenia said when she answered. "The wedding invitation? I'm holding it right now. Kylie, honey, they got married yesterday." The room spun. Yesterday? Blair's claiming she's pregnant. They rushed everything. I tried calling you in Singapore, but pregnant? My voice cracked. My best friend is pregnant with my fiancé's baby? Everyone found out 3 weeks ago. Blair announced it at her father's charity gala, said they'd been fighting their feelings for months. I laughed. It sounded hollow even to me. Fighting their feelings while I was working 80-hour weeks to build our future? There's more. Yesenia hesitated. They're having a post-wedding celebration tonight at the Grove. The Grove, where Ethan had proposed to me. What time? Kylie, don't... What time? 8. But please, just come to my place. We'll open wine, curse their names. I hung up and checked my watch. 6:45 p.m. Perfect. My suitcase had a black cocktail dress I'd bought in Singapore. I planned to wear it for Ethan tonight, imagining his eyes lighting up the way they used to. Instead, I slipped it on in his bathroom where my toothbrush still sat next to his. I did my makeup with surgical precision, hands steady despite the rage burning through me. The woman in the mirror looked polished, poised, only her eyes gave away the truth. They were arctic cold. My phone kept buzzing, messages from mutual friends. "OMG, are you back?" "I'm so sorry." We couldn't believe it either. I ignored them all and ordered an Uber. The Grove was packed when I arrived. Fairy lights twinkled mockingly in the trees. A banner read, "Congratulations, Blair and Ethan," with yesterday's date. I spotted them immediately. Blair in a champagne-colored dress, her hand resting on her stomach, in that universal expecting gesture. Ethan's arm around her waist, exactly where it used to rest around mine. Blair saw me first. Her champagne glass froze halfway to her lips, her face draining of color. "Kylie?" Ethan's voice carried across the patio. Heads turned, whispers erupted. I walked toward them, heels clicking against stone, smile fixed in place. Every eye watched me approach the happy couple. "Surprise," I said, my voice honey-sweet. "I came back early. Couldn't miss celebrating with my best friend and the love of my life, could I?" Blair's hand trembled. "Kylie, we were going to tell you." "Oh, but you did." I pulled out the invitation. "Nice post-it note, by the way. Very personal touch." Ethan stepped forward. "Let's talk privately." "No need." I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter. "I'm just here to toast the happy couple." I raised my glass, addressing the now silent crowd. "To Blair and Ethan, may your marriage be as honest as your courtship." I drained my glass, set it down with a clink, and turned to leave. "And Blair?" I called over my shoulder. Congratulations on the baby. I just hope you're sure about the timing. The silence behind me was deafening. What did you mean about the timing? I turned to find Atticus, Ethan's business partner, following me into the parking lot. His tie was loose and he looked uncomfortable in his suit. Same old Atticus. Just making conversation, I said, fishing for my phone to call another Uber. Bull, he caught up to me. Look, there's a bar across the street. Let me buy you a drink. You shouldn't be alone right now. I almost refused, but something in his expression stopped me. Fine. One drink. The bar was dimly lit and nearly empty. We settled into a booth and Atticus ordered us both whiskey neat. How long did you know? I asked. He winced. About them or about the other women? My hand froze around my glass. Other women? Jesus! Atticus ran a hand through his hair. You didn't know about Jessica from accounting or Maria from the Denver office? The whiskey burned going down. When? Jessica was last year. Maria, 2 months before you left for Singapore. I thought about all those late nights Ethan claimed he was working, all those business trips. And Blair? Atticus wouldn't meet my eyes. They started seeing each other before you left, way before. How long before? 2 months, maybe 3. Blair would come to the office for lunch. I thought you knew and were okay with it somehow. Then you left for Singapore and suddenly they were everywhere together. My phone buzzed. Blair calling. I declined it. The pregnancy announcement was weird, Atticus continued. Blair told everyone at the gala, but Ethan looked shocked, like actually shocked. Then the next day, they were engaged. I leaned forward. Shocked how? Like he'd been blindsided. They had this intense whispered argument right after. I overheard bits. Blair saying something about making it right and Ethan saying, Are you sure? Another call from Blair. Declined. Why are you telling me all this? I asked. Because Ethan's my business partner, but he's also a dick, and you deserve to know the truth. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Blair. We need to talk, please. What you said about the timing, don't. I showed Atticus the message. His eyebrows rose. Interesting choice of words, he said. Not you're wrong or stop lying, just don't. I smiled for the first time that night. Very interesting. Kylie. Atticus hesitated. What are you planning? Nothing. I'm just going to be the bigger person and support my best friend's pregnancy journey. In fact, I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. I should congratulate her publicly. I typed, so happy for Asia Blair Steele and her miracle baby. Time flies, doesn't it? Blessed friend, timing is everything. That's evil, Atticus said, but he was grinning. I'm just being supportive. I finished my whiskey. Tell me more about the gala. Who else was there? Everyone, including Drew Stevens. You remember him? My pulse quickened. Blair's ex? Yeah, he left right after the pregnancy announcement. Looked pretty upset. I stored that information away. And Sydney? Blair's cousin? Hanging on Blair's every word as usual, though he frowned. She seemed confused about something. I heard her ask Blair about dates, and Blair shut her down hard. My phone exploded with notifications. Blair had texted 5 times. Delete that post. Please. We need to talk. Now. I'm serious, Kylie. I turned my phone off. Want another drink? Atticus asked. I shook my head. No, I should go, but thank you for everything. He caught my arm as I stood. Be careful, okay? Ethan, he gets mean when he feels threatened, and Blair's father has connections everywhere. I'm not threatening anyone, I said innocently. I'm just asking questions. And isn't it interesting how defensive some people get over simple questions? Atticus laughed. You're terrifying, you know that? I'm just getting started, I said, and walked out into the night, my mind already racing with possibilities. Blair wanted to talk. Fine. But first, I needed to have a conversation with Drew Stevens about timing and miracles. I shouldn't be showing you this, Amanda whispered, glancing around the empty hospital break room. She'd been my friend since college and now worked as a nurse at the women's clinic. But after what they did to you, she turned her computer screen toward me. Blair's medical records filled the display. First prenatal visit was 3 weeks ago, Amanda said. But look at the estimated conception date. I leaned closer, memorizing the numbers. That's interesting. What's interesting is that she didn't request any pregnancy tests before that. Most women come in the minute they suspect. I pulled out my phone's calendar. So if these dates are right, she would have gotten pregnant. While you were still here, Amanda finished. Not after you left for Singapore like she's telling everyone. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Drew. Atticus gave me your number. We should talk. Perfect timing. Thanks, Amanda. I owe you. Just be careful. And delete my number if you get caught. I met Drew at a coffee shop across town. He looked exactly as I remembered. Tall, athletic, the kind of guy Blair usually went for before Ethan. I saw your Instagram post, he said without preamble. About timing? I stirred my coffee. Subtle, wasn't it? Look, I know what Blair's telling everyone, but he pulled out his phone. We were together 6 weeks before she announced the pregnancy. Multiple times. He showed me text messages between them. My eyes widened at the dates. She ghosted me right after, Drew continued. Next thing I hear, she's pregnant and marrying your fiancé. Did you use protection? He shifted uncomfortably. Not always. Blair said she was on birth control. I took photos of the text while he wasn't looking. Have you talked to her since? She blocked me everywhere, but I ran into her cousin Sydney at the grocery store yesterday. She mentioned Blair's been having morning sickness since before you left for Singapore. I frowned. That's not what Blair told everyone at the gala. Yeah, well, Sydney seemed confused about the dates too. Said something about Blair's first doctor's appointment being way earlier than what she's claiming now. My phone buzzed again. Blair. I know you access my medical records. Stop digging. I showed Drew the message. His face hardened. You know what? Forward me those records. I want to know the truth. I can't. I lied smoothly. But maybe you should ask Blair directly, in public where she can't avoid you. Drew's eyes lit up. The charity lunch tomorrow. Her father's hosting it at the Metropolitan. Really? I heard Ethan's investors will be there too. I paused. You should definitely go. Ask about the timing, loudly. After Drew left, I called Sydney. She answered on the first ring. Kylie, I was hoping you'd call. I'm so confused about everything. Let's meet. I have some questions about Blair's timeline. I don't know if I should. Blair made me promise not to talk about it. About what exactly? Silence. Then, the doctor's appointments. The dates don't match what she's telling everyone. And I saw something on her phone. Tell me. A different due date calculator app from weeks before she claimed she got pregnant. Blair caught me looking and flipped out. I thought about the medical records. Sydney, don't you think Ethan deserves to know the truth about when this really started? She hesitated. Blair's my cousin, but this feels wrong. All of it. The lunch tomorrow? Come early, we'll talk. After hanging up, I created a new email account, attached the photos of Blair's texts with Drew, added screenshots of her medical records. Typed a message. Thought you should know what your wife was doing before she trapped you. Check the dates. I sent it to Ethan. My phone immediately lit up with his call. I declined it, smiling. Then I texted Atticus. Coming to the charity lunch tomorrow? Wouldn't miss it, he replied. Should I bring popcorn? Bring your phone instead. You'll want to record this. I fell asleep that night to a stream of panicked messages from Blair and angry ones from Ethan, but I didn't respond. Tomorrow they'd have bigger problems than my silence. Let them stew, let them worry. The truth was about to get very, very loud. The Metropolitan's ballroom buzzed with nervous energy. I sat at my assigned table, watching Blair work the room in a loose-fitting designer dress, her hand perpetually resting on her stomach. Yesenia slid into the seat beside me. You shouldn't be here. Did you see Ethan's face when he arrived? I asked. He can barely look at Blair. Kylie, stop. My sister grabbed my hand. Remember what Dad always said about revenge? Dad also said to never let anyone make you a fool. I pulled away. Besides, I'm just here to support Blair's father's charity. Sydney appeared at our table, fidgeting with her napkin. Blair's been throwing up in the bathroom. She says it's morning sickness, but what? I saw her delete a bunch of texts before Ethan could see them. And she made me swear not to mention the early doctor's appointments to anyone. Right on cue, Drew walked in. Blair's face went white. Ethan noticed. He was at the bar, gripping his whiskey like a lifeline. I watched him track Drew's movement across the room. Excuse me, I said, standing. I need to powder my nose. In the bathroom, I found Blair hunched over the sink. Get out, she snapped. Morning sickness or guilty conscience? She straightened, eyes blazing. You had no right to send those medical records to Ethan. Like you had no right to marry my fiancé. He chose me. Did he? Or did you trap him with a baby that might not be his? Blair's hand trembled as she reapplied her lipstick. You don't know what you're talking about. The dates don't lie, Blair. Neither does Drew's phone. She dropped the lipstick. You talked to Drew? He's here, you know. Ready to ask some very public questions about timing. You bitch. Blair grabbed my arm. You're trying to ruin everything. I smiled. No, honey. You did that yourself when you slept with my fiancé while spreading your legs for Drew, too. Her hand cracked across my face. I laughed, touching my cheek. Perfect. Now everyone will see that red handprint when I walk out. Very classy. Blair's eyes widened as she realized her mistake. Kylie, wait. I walked out, making sure to pass directly in front of Ethan's table, his eyes locked on my reddened cheek. Drew intercepted Blair as she followed me out. We need to talk about dates. Not now, she hissed. Yes, now. His voice carried. Why did you lie about when we slept together? Heads turned. Ethan stood up. Drew, please, Blair begged. You're making a scene. Making a scene? Ethan's voice was ice. Like you made a scene announcing a pregnancy without telling me first? Blair spun toward him. I told you as soon as I knew. Liar. Ethan threw down his phone. I have your medical records, your texts with Drew. When were you going to tell me the real timeline? The room fell silent. Blair's father, Jeremiah, stepped forward. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. No, Ethan said. I want everyone to hear how your daughter trapped me into marriage with a baby that might not be mine. Blair burst into tears. The baby is yours. It has to be yours. Has to be. Drew's laugh was bitter. What about the weekend at the lake house? When was that, Blair? Before or after you told Ethan you were pregnant? Sydney gasped. The lake house? But that was— Shut up! Blair screamed at her cousin. Just shut up! I sat back down next to Yesenia, watching it all unfold. Still think I'm going too far? I whispered. She shook her head slowly. They're doing all the work themselves. Jeremiah was trying to clear the room, but the damage was done. Phones were out. People were recording. I created a fake gossip account last night, I told Yesenia. Want to bet how long before this shows up there? You're scary, she said, but she was smiling. What's next? I watched Blair flee the room, mascara streaking her face, while Ethan and Drew faced off by the bar. Now, I pulled out my phone. Now we let social media do its thing. Blair's perfect image is about to shatter, and I won't have to lift another finger. The video of Blair's meltdown hit 100,000 views by midnight. My anonymous gossip account, Truth Teller, was flooded with messages from people claiming to have more dirt on Blair. I was sifting through them when Atticus called. Ethan's losing it, he said. He's been drinking at the office since the lunch. Keeps muttering about DNA tests. How tragic, I replied, scrolling through a particularly interesting message about Blair's father. Hey, what do you know about Jeremiah's old court cases? Only that most of them are sealed. Why? Because someone just sent me a very interesting tip about hush money and a previous pregnancy. Atticus whistled. You're ruthless. I prefer thorough. I forwarded him the tip. Can you verify this? Give me an hour. While waiting, I checked Instagram. Sydney had posted a tearful video. I can't keep quiet anymore. Blair's been lying about everything. The first doctor's appointment was weeks before she claims. I saw the paperwork myself. I'm sorry, but the truth needs to come out. Blair commented immediately, Take this down or you're dead to this family. Sydney's reply, Family doesn't lie like this. My phone buzzed. Atticus again. It's true, he said. All of it. Jeremiah paid off a married executive 7 years ago when Blair got pregnant. Made it all disappear. Any chance you can get those court documents? Already done. Sending now. I smiled at my phone. You're getting good at this. Yeah, well, Ethan screwed me on our last deal. Consider this karma. The documents arrived in my email. I read them twice, then created a new post on Truth Teller. Breaking. Blair's pregnancy scandal isn't her first. Court documents show previous payoff by Daddy Dearest, like father, like daughter. Receipts attached. Within minutes, Blair called. Stop this, she pleaded. Please, you're destroying my life. Funny, that's exactly what you did to mine. I loved him. We both did. It just happened. Save the excuses. How's Ethan handling the DNA drama? She started crying. He won't talk to me. He's demanding a test. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? My father will destroy you if you post anything else. I laughed. Like he destroyed the evidence of your last pregnancy? Too late. Check your work email. I hung up as she screamed. The legal blog her law firm followed had already picked up the story. My phone lit up with a text from Sydney. Blair just showed up at my apartment. She's hysterical. Record everything, I texted back. 10 minutes later, Sydney sent me a video. Blair was screaming, mascara running. You stupid little bitch! You ruined everything after all I've done for you. The video ended with the distinct sound of a slap. Did she hit you? I asked Sydney. Yes, I'm pressing charges. Perfect. I forwarded the video to Truth Teller. Atticus called again. Ethan's on his way to Blair's place. He saw the court documents. Good. I opened my laptop. Time for the finale. I had saved the best for last. Screenshots of Ethan's messages with other women, dated throughout our engagement. Blair's medical records showing the real timeline, Drew's texts, the court documents about her past pregnancy. I posted it all. You're trending, Atticus said an hour later. Blair's firm put her on administrative leave. Ethan's investors are calling emergency meetings. My phone beeped. A message from Blair's father. Whatever your price is, name it. No price, I wrote back. Just karma. Another text arrived from Sydney. Blair's having a breakdown. She admitted everything. The baby might be Drew's. She trapped Ethan because she wanted his connections. I recorded it all. I forwarded that to Ethan. Yesenia called next. It's everywhere. Blair's perfect life is imploding. Are you satisfied? I watch my notifications explode with new revelations, new witnesses coming forward, new pieces of Blair's carefully constructed life crumbling. Not yet, I said, but I'm getting there. What's left? I smiled, thinking of the final piece of evidence still sitting in my drafts folder, the part where they destroy each other. The investor gala was in full swing when Blair crashed it. She looked wild, her designer dress wrinkled, her eyes red from crying. You can't ignore me forever, she screamed at Ethan across the ballroom. I sipped my champagne, standing next to Atticus. Right on time. You knew she'd come? He asked. I sent her an anonymous tip that Ethan was meeting his lawyer here tonight to discuss divorce. Ethan tried to hustle Blair toward the exit, but she jerked away. Don't touch me, not after what you said about our baby. Phones emerged from pockets. Everyone loved a good public meltdown. Blair, Ethan hissed, not here. These are my investors. Oh, now you care? She laughed hysterically. Where was that care when you were telling your friend I trapped you? When you were demanding DNA tests? I pulled out my phone and pressed play. Ethan's voice filled the room through the nearby speaker system. Of course I don't love her. Blair was convenient, her father's connections, her firm's client list. That's what I needed. The pregnancy was her idea, her trap. I'm not even sure I want the baby. Blair froze. What is that? Our private conversation from yesterday. Ethan said, face draining of color. How did I raised my glass at him? He finally noticed me in the corner. You recorded me? He sputtered. Actually, I said loudly, you recorded yourself. You butt dialed me during your little rant. I just kept the recording. Blair advanced on him. You used me after everything I did for you? Everything you did? Ethan laughed bitterly. You mean sleeping with Drew while pursuing me? Getting pregnant and not knowing who the father is? At least I wanted the baby. You just wanted my father's influence. Jeremiah stepped forward from the crowd. What influence? Blair spun toward her father. Daddy, I can explain. Explain what? How you manipulated another man, like you did 7 years ago? The room went dead silent. That was different, Blair whispered. Was it? Another married man, another pregnancy, another scandal I had to clean up? I caught Sydney's eye across the room. She was recording everything. Daddy, please, Blair begged. Not here. Why not here? Jeremiah's voice rose. Everyone already knows. Your firm knows. Your clients know. You've embarrassed this family for the last time. But I'm pregnant. Are you? Or is that another lie? Blair slapped him. The crack echoed through the ballroom. Jeremiah touched his cheek, eyes cold. You're cut off. All of it. Trust fund, connections, everything. Clean up your own mess this time. You can't! Blair grabbed his arm. I need you. Like you needed me 7 years ago, When I paid that executive $500,000 to keep quiet about your affair with him?" Ethan's head snapped up. "$500,000? "Yes," Jeremiah said. "That's what my daughter's mistakes usually cost me. How much will this one cost, Blair? A paternity test? A divorce settlement?" "Nothing," Ethan said, "because I'm done. The marriage is over." Blair lunged at him. "You promised to love me. You said we'd be perfect together." "That was before I knew about Drew, before I knew about your past, before I knew everything was a lie." "Speaking of lies," I called out, "should we talk about Jessica from accounting or Maria from the Denver office?" Ethan paled. Blair turned to him slowly. "Who are they?" "No one," he stammered. "They're the women he was sleeping with while engaged to me," I said helpfully. "Want to see those messages too?" Blair screamed and launched herself at Ethan. He stumbled backward into a table of champagne glasses. The crash was spectacular. "You hypocrite!" Blair shrieked, pounding his chest. "You cheating bastard!" Security finally intervened, dragging them apart. Blair's mascara streaked down her face, Ethan's expensive suit soaked in champagne. Atticus leaned close to me. "Remind me never to cross you." I watched Blair and Ethan being escorted out different exits, their perfect facade completely shattered. "The truth always comes out," I said. "I just helped it along." My phone buzzed. Sydney had already uploaded the video. "Society wedding turns nightmare. Full breakdown at investor gala." I smiled. Sometimes karma needed a little push. I found Blair sitting on the steps of her father's law firm, clutching a cardboard box of personal items. Security had already deactivated her building access. "Come to gloat?" she asked without looking up. "Just wanted to see it for myself." I sat beside her, maintaining a safe distance. The mighty Blair, finally facing consequences. "I've lost everything." Her voice cracked. "My job, my marriage, my family. Like I lost everything when I came home to find my best friend had married my fiancé." She turned to me, mascara-stained tears on her cheeks. "It wasn't supposed to be like this." "How was it supposed to be?" "Ethan and we had a plan. Get married quickly, announce the pregnancy, make it look romantic instead of messy. Nobody would question it. Except for the tiny detail of not knowing who the father is." Blair's hands went to her stomach. "I really hoped it was Ethan's." "And Drew?" "A mistake. I was drunk, angry because Ethan was pulling away." She laughed bitterly. "Now he's filing for paternity rights." My phone buzzed. A news notification. "Tech CEO Ethan Rogers steps down amid scandal." I showed it to Blair. She started crying harder. "Did you love him?" I asked. "Actually love him? Or was it just about status and connections?" "Both? Neither? I don't know anymore." She wiped her eyes. "When I saw how he looked at you, how he planned this perfect future with you, I wanted that. I wanted to be the one who had everything perfect." "So you took it." "I took it." She nodded. "And now I have nothing. No job, no husband, no trust fund. My father won't even take my calls." "What about the baby?" She touched her stomach again. "Drew's lawyer contacted me this morning. They want a DNA test as soon as possible." "And Ethan?" "Filed for annulment. Says he was trapped under false pretenses." She looked at me. "He was right, wasn't he?" "About me trapping him?" "You both used each other," I said. "You're perfect together that way." Sydney appeared at the top of the steps. "Blair, your stuff from the apartment?" Ethan had it packed up. Blair stood shakily. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Not my problem," Sydney said coldly. "You slapped me, remember? I have a restraining order now." Blair's phone rang. She checked it and let out a sob. It's Drew's lawyer again. You should answer it, I said, standing. Sounds like you have a lot of legal battles ahead. Kylie, wait. She grabbed my arm. I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't help, but I am. I looked at her hand until she dropped it. You're right. It doesn't help. I never thought it would end like this. That's the thing about karma, Blair. It ends exactly how it's supposed to. I walked down the steps, leaving her crying with her box of office supplies. Sydney followed me. Her whole life is imploding, Sydney said. The society blogs are brutal. No one will hire her. Every guy she ever dated is coming forward with stories. Good. Ethan's not doing much better. His investors are pulling out. The board forced him to resign. My phone buzzed again. A text from Atticus. Ethan's drinking at Murphy's bar. Keeps saying he should have chosen you. I typed back. Too late for that. Sydney touched my arm. Was it worth it? Getting revenge? I watched Blair try to balance her box while answering her phone, tears streaming down her face. Somewhere across town, Ethan was drowning his sorrows, his career in shambles. Their perfect fairy tale had burned to ash. They thought they could just write me out of their story, I said. They never expected me to rewrite the ending. And now? I looked at the setting sun, feeling lighter than I had in months. Now I write my own story. Without either of them in it. My phone buzzed one last time. Drew, DNA test scheduled for next week. Thank you for helping me see the truth. I smiled and deleted the message. My work here was done. Blair and Ethan had destroyed each other better than I ever could have. Sometimes the best revenge is just lighting the fuse and watching it all explode. You're really not going to read it? Yesenia asked, holding up her phone. The headline glared. DNA results confirmed tech CEO, not father of socialite's baby. Don't need to. I poured us both wine on my new apartment's balcony. Blair's mess isn't my problem anymore. She tried to come by my office yesterday, wanted me to convince you to help clear her name, I laughed. Clear what name? The truth's already out there. My phone lit up, Atticus calling. Hey, he said when I answered. Guess who just tried to sell me a sob story at the coffee shop? Let me guess. Tall, blonde, and desperate? Ethan, actually. Says he made the biggest mistake of his life. Wanted to know if you'd meet him. What did you tell him? To go to hell. He paused. Speaking of hell, are you free tonight? That new restaurant downtown open? Atticus. I cut him off gently. I'm not ready. I know. Just thought I'd ask. As friends? I considered it. Friends. But you're buying. After hanging up, Yesenia gave me a knowing look. He's been there for you through all of this. Don't start. I'm just saying. A knock interrupted us. Through the glass doors, I saw Sydney on my welcome mat. It's done, she said when I let her in. Blair's moving to Chicago. Some distant relative took pity on her. And Ethan? Trying to start a new company, but no one will invest. Turns out, sleeping with your employees and lying about pregnancies is bad for business. My phone buzzed with a text from Drew. Baby's mine. Thank you for everything. Blair's agreed to joint custody. Karma really came through, Yesenia mused. No, I said. They did this to themselves. I just exposed the truth. Sydney pulled out her phone. Blair posted something. Want to hear it? I nodded. Sydney read, To everyone I've hurt, I'm sorry, especially to Kylie. You trusted me as your best friend, and I betrayed you. I could blame love or ambition or fear, but the truth is I was selfish. I'm leaving town to start over. I've lost everything, but I deserve to lose it. Some mistakes can't be undone." "Well," Yesenia said, "actually sounds sincere." "Too late," I replied. Another knock. This time a delivery man with flowers. The card read, "I know you won't forgive me, but I'll regret losing you forever. Ethan." I dropped the flowers in the trash. "Aren't you even curious what could have been?" Sydney asked. "No, because now I know who they really are, who they've always been." Atticus texted, "Still on for dinner? Promise not to propose or steal your best friend." I laughed despite myself. "Go," Yesenia urged. "Live your life. They've taken up enough of your time." My phone kept buzzing with updates. Blair's goodbye post going viral, Ethan's failed attempts to salvage his reputation, Drew's lawyer releasing statements about the DNA test. I turned off my notifications. "You know what?" I told Yesenia and Sydney. "Let's all go to dinner. My treat." "You're not even a little tempted to check their social media?" Sydney asked. "Their story is over. Time to focus on mine." As we got ready to leave, I passed the venue where Ethan had proposed, the place where Blair had announced her pregnancy, the restaurant where I'd first met them both. None of it hurt anymore. "Ready?" Atticus was waiting outside the new restaurant, holding the door open. "As friends," I reminded him. "As whatever you want," he said simply. My phone buzzed one final time. "Blair, I hope someday you can forgive me." I deleted the message without responding. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. "You coming?" Yesenia called from inside. I looked at my reflection in the restaurant's window. I saw someone stronger, wiser, free from the weight of betrayal. They thought they'd written me out of their story. Instead, I'd written my own ending, and it was better than anything they could have given me. "Yeah," I said, walking into the warm light of the restaurant, leaving the past where it belonged. "I'm coming.